Boiling hot out here, everybody. Welcome back to Leah's Leaves. I worked the night shift tonight, so I had the morning and early afternoon free after days of rain and or day shifts and or oppressive heat or a combination of those three. I'm finally able to get out in the garden and do some maintenance. So let me bring you along and show you what needs to happen. I don't know that I'll get it done today. Maybe I'll be back out tomorrow to finish, but trying to catch things up. We'll start here in the green stalk. Many of the greens that I had been growing and harvesting from over the last few weeks, as I was just busy and wasn't cooking off of them, have bolted and gone to seed. So I'm pulling all of them. There will just be about 5 crops left in this whole planter when I'm done today. And I'll top up all the pockets with fresh potting mix and soil amendment. I don't have compost with me, but I have some bagged soil, so just use that. And then I'll be planting in fall crops. I haven't decided what all yet. I might do some bush variety dwarf peas in there this time. I'll still do more spinach and chagimasai, and maybe another round of crops that prefer a little cool, like cilantro and dill for later in the season. So we'll think about that. The nasturtiums are coming on. They haven't started flowering yet, but there's one developing. They were supposed to bloom a while ago so that they could act as a deterrent. And you can see how that worked out. But still, they'll be pretty when they're blooming, so I'll leave those in. See this right here? This weed, even though this entire bed was solarized for at least 8 months, covered in tarp, went through a hard winter, a very hard winter, this thing has overtaken my whole bed. When I went away in mid-July, I came back and they were at least a foot high. I've been working a lot since then. Or it's been too hot to work comfortably, or like I said, we've had some rain now after a dry July. August has been rainy. So I'm just now getting out here today and starting to clear the path. I've pulled the big ones out near the peanuts, the marigold there in the middle. On that end, they were squashing out my onions. My onion crop has really suffered from not having enough sunlight because of those weeds. So I'm especially paying attention to that area today. We're getting some activity on the tomato plants, which is great. They need some maintenance. Pruning, they're ready for a good pruning. And some of the ones that I had started trellising a month ago need another round of zip ties and thread for the Florida weave. These are my black strawberry cherries. They're finally coming on. These are Cherokee purple. They'll take a while yet to catch on. Another plant that took for ages to finally take off is the borage. Again, this was something I intercropped with the tomato plants as a pest deterrent and, to attract pollinators. And now that most of those pests are gone for the summer, they're starting to bloom. Oh well. That is a crimson giant. It's not very giant, as you can see. But it's not the breed. It's the fact that while I was away, the plant experienced some disease. I'm going to give it a significant pruning today and stake it up more. I can see that a green tomato just fell off because it was on a weak vine. And we'll hope for, I still got, 6 weeks till my first frost, earliest date for a first frost. So if I amend the soil, I give it a good pruning and get it staked and off the ground, then I should be able to harvest more of these and bigger. This was the mystery pepper, but take a look at how fruitful it is. It looks like either a Hungarian wax or maybe a sweet banana. I'm going to pick all of these today in the hopes of stimulating more flower production and get a later harvest. This whole ugly mess right here is going to get a thorough cleaning tomorrow. Weeded, soil amendments, and then in here is going to go a fall crop of red beets. Over here, we'll take a look at some of the early peppers. Some of you have been harvesting nice ripe peppers. These are berry cream hot peppers. I'll be harvesting some of these, again, to stimulate some growth. This is a dottil pepper that eventually will become yellow. It's still in the early phase of development. This one has some blooms on it. It's a peach gum crossed with a red tiger, but no fruit yet. In this section, I pulled all of the mustard greens. They've gotten huge. I'm going to eat those tomorrow for my lunch, and give some space here to these eggplants in the front and the 2 tomatillo plants in the back. Give them some extra sunlight, and they won't be competing with as many plants for soil nutrition. And this is cute. This is a night and day nasturtium. So some of the blooms are cream colored and some are a very dark red. Isn't that pretty? That's orange ball calendula in among my cucumbers. Cucumber plant is very healthy and has a ton of blooms, and I feel like I'm about to get just a huge flush of fruit. I'm gonna get a glut of it. And then I probably have time. I have some others started already that I can put in the ground here and get a second small harvest before the frost. See this plant right here? That's the dwarf mandarang moon. This thing is like just about 5 feet tall now. It's not staked because I didn't think I needed to, so now I needed to come back and stake it up. And check this out, guys. Look at that fish pepper plant. Look at what I see down here. That's pretty. That's my first ripe fish pepper. Very excited to see some eggplants coming on. They've taken a long time, and they're right out in the sunniest spot. We just had a dry summer. They were wet enough to live, but not enough to fruit. With the recent rains, they seem to be popping now. The Aztec Zinnias. I've been very disappointed with my zinnias this year. These are Aztec Zinnias here, Aztec Sunset. And I just had such spotty germination. You can see all the empty spaces in both containers. So what I was hoping would be a lush, full display of zinnias has proven to be a little bit disappointing. Over here, on the other hand, these Gomphrena are doing fabulously. I have white, purple, and strawberry fields Gomphrena all growing nearby. They're doing great. My celosia is doing well. Very pretty plant. This is my first year growing it. And apricot status has come on. That just started blooming this week. It's a beautiful color. Tumbling Tom tomatoes living up to its name. I've got to harvest lots of cherry tomatoes today so that it can produce even more. I was able to train those patio champion cucumbers to come out their correct direction, so now they're overtaking a part of the yard. They've got plenty of room to grow and spread. They're near some marigolds, parsley, sweet marjoram, lemon savory, purple opal basil, chamomile, some cosmos, a couple of dwarf cherry tomatoes, Tiny Tim variety, broad-leaved sage, rosemary plants doing great. I have a couple of those. The marigolds are popping. This whole thing just is full of all kinds of deliciousness. Some of these things, like this early cilantro and dill, are going to seed, and I can harvest those these weekend. They'll need to dry out a little more inside, and some I'll grind into powder, and some I will leave whole for cooking. Oh, I see the raspberry liana saladette pepper or tomatoes are starting to take color. The lunchbox pepper is. Let's pick this. Ooh, this is the only hybrid pepper I grew this year, and the only one that I didn't grow from seed myself. They're just little sweet snackers. They're not spicy. This is super exciting. Of my fennel, one of them is going to seed. Well, I have two here. One of them's not really doing anything. But look at that one. That's getting a nice bulb on it. I will harvest that soon. And I'll bring you along with what I make, because I make a delicious fennel orange salad that is very refreshing. Take a look at these garden huckleberries. They need to be blacker than that before they're ready to cook with. But they're coming. I have a cat-faced Granny's throwing tomato. I don't get many cat-faced ones, thank goodness, but every once in a while. They really are a cool shape, though. Hi, Claire. Really? My Kentucky Wonder pole beans are growing. Since I've been working a lot, I haven't used the pool, but I have been out here harvesting beans. Throw them in a soup, probably. I have a few more up here to pick. And lots more coming. Neat. My favorite plant so far this summer is without a doubt my Ufo pepper. Man, this thing's just popping. It's covered in blooms. And I picked some of these the other day and cooked with them. They're delicious. They're like the exact right kind of heat for daily use. Hot enough for me to notice them, but not so hot that they overpower the food. If you've never seen what a dill plant looks like after you get that tight yellow head of flowers, then it spreads to that, and then it goes to seed and looks like that. That brown crusty one, that's ready to pick. And now I'll have dill seed to use in my cooking. Long Island cheese pumpkins. They'll be shaped like a light colored cheese wheel, but have beautiful orange sweet flesh inside, I'm told. Oh, here's one that popped up out of nowhere that I didn't even know was back here. Look how beautiful and healthy that puppy is. Wonderful. Walking back over to the south side of the house to show you a couple more things, but I can see, and you've seen now, a lot of tomatoes need staked and tied. Some of the herbs, particularly cilantro and dill. And now the fennel bulbs, I have to keep an eye on those because they're getting ready to dry out, and I want to save seeds from that as well. I need to top up and plant out the green stalk for another round of fall crops, and I want to put some beets in the ground and maybe some peas. Okay, this is fun. This place looks like a mess, but there's a lot of life happening here, so check this out. First of all, beautiful. That's a ruby eclipse and autumn beauty mixed in with Topolino, which is a dwarf variety sunflower. They're all kind of having trouble staying up because the pumpkins have overtaken everything. So I have Acorn Beauty table squash, table queen, excuse me, acorn squash that's table queen variety. A couple of those. Those big elephant ear shaped flowers back there, those are hollyhocks. If we move up this way, I'm starting to see that our okra plants finally emerged. And I'm getting some baby okra. And it looks like I have one each. I have one of the heavy hitter green okra and one of the burgundy. Oh, I see a third one. That's popping up in there. So okra will come late, and I won't get much because the pumpkins took over everything. Corn is coming on. I'll have a small crop of, this is bodacious hybrid sweet corn. But check this puppy out. I have my first sugar pie pumpkin ready to harvest. And many others on the way. There's another one that's starting to turn. And several more down the line. This plant is at least 25 feet long. And I'm not touching it. I'm just going to let it go. It's growing food for my family. Anyway, a lot of work to do. And but also a lot of harvesting done already and more coming. The next 2 weeks are going to be really busy, especially pepper harvest. I want to pick some of the early peppers to encourage more fruiting with the plants. And then I want to, because they're not ripe hot peppers, most of them, except these Ufo peppers, they're ready to eat. But the rest, they just have had not enough sunshine. We had a cold spring, very cold, very late. And then the weed issue for that affected some of the peppers, not all of them. So anyway, that's that. It's a hot mess here, but I still look at all the abundance that it represents and all the food that I have to look forward to harvesting. And the fact that as pest pressure diminishes this time of year, even though the days are getting shorter, I still have plenty of time to harvest more food, and well into the fall after my first frost, paying attention to some frost sensitive plants that can tolerate those early frosts. Anyway, I'm learning a lot, sharing it here, even the ugly stuff, and I hope you'll come grow with me. Bye.